right, so we're talking about something today called slope-intercept form, and we've talked about slope, so that part's not going to be new, and we've talked about direct variation. And what we're going to talk about today is, what if it's a straight line, but it doesn't go through the origin? So an equation is written in slope-intercept form if it has the form y equals mx plus b, and that is going to be something you're going to hear for several years to come. M equals the slope. Remember that slope has to be the ratio of rise to run, and B equals the y-intercept. Now, we haven't said that before. The y-intercept of a line is the y-coordinate of the point where the line crosses the y-axis. You're going to hear a lot of that one. You can use a graph and the slope-intercept form to write an equation of a line. To do this, first, you have to find the slope. This is the m value. M is thought to come from the French word monter, which meant to climb. So a higher slope would be like a higher or steeper mountain to climb. You can then find the y-intercept, and this is b. So first, let's find the slope. Slope is, again, remember we have to find two friendly coordinates, and we have to find the rise over the run. So the slope is going to be a rise of 2 over a run of 1, so 2 over 1, or just 2. Now B, the intercept, is wherever you cross, here's your y-axis, wherever your line hits the y-axis. So this one is hitting at 0, 1, so the y-intercept is 1. You then just have to plug those into the right spots. So the equation is y equals mx plus b. In this case, y equals 2x plus 1. And that's really it. That is the whole concept. So we'll do a few of these. So again, we're going to start by finding two friendly points. So we've got a point here and a point here. We would do rise up 2 over the run 3. So rise 2 over the run 3, 2/3. And then B, our intercept, is wherever, here's your y-axis, wherever your line crosses the y-axis. In this case, it is 0, -4. So your B value would be -4. The equation for slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, we're going to plug in the two things we know. Y equals 2/3 x. Now, instead of plus -4, which is a little cumbersome, we would usually write y equals 2/3 x and then just say -4. And that takes care of it being in the negatives. All right, next. We have to start with the two friendly points or two friendly coordinates, one here, one here. Rise is going to be down 1, and then the run is going to be over 2. So our slope is going to be -1/2. B, our y-axis, we're crossing the y-axis here at 0, 2, making our y-intercept 2. The form, y equals mx plus b, and then we just plug in the two we know. M is -1/2 x plus, and the intercept is 2. Oh, I wrote B, 2. All right. Then you've got the last one. Same concept, same process. I'm just going to white out some bits here on my 2 to make it just a little easier to read as a 2. And we're going to locate two friendly points, one here, one here. Well, that's nice. They're right next to each other. So the rise is -1 and the run is 1, making my slope -1 over 1 or just -1. My intercept, where are you crossing the y-axis? I'm crossing the y-axis here at 0, -3. So B is -3. And then we plug what we know into that form, that slope-intercept form, slope being -1, x plus, and then the intercept being -3. Again, this is kind of a mess. You will normally see, instead of -1x, just -x. Instead of plus a -3, just subtract 3. So that's going to be your better answer for a slope-intercept form that represents the graph. You can also use an equation that is written in slope-intercept form to draw the graph. So instead of making a t-chart, which is how we started, we're going to take the pieces that we know about slope and intercept and make it a little bit faster and a little bit easier to graph. So first, you've got to identify the parts. We have the slope, right, which was the m. That's the coefficient in front of the x. And then you also need the b value, in this case, the -2. So we're going to write those down. All right, we're going to say that the slope is 4, and we're going to say that the y-intercept is -2. So Remember in math when we do things sort of backwards, we do the order in reverse? So last time we found the slope and then we found the intercept. We're going to start with the intercept, which is -2. So the first thing I'm going to put is my y-intercept, right? Here's my y-axis at -2. From there, I'm going to say that it has a slope of 4, which would mean a rise of 1, 2, 3, 4, and a run of 1. Why is that, you ask? Because 4 is the same as 4 over 1. So I did a rise over run 4 over 1. So from my starting point, the y-intercept, I went up 4 over 1. That's going to give me enough to connect and make a graph. So there's my line. It's a little wonky, but there's my line that connects the 2 points. This was 0, -2. That was my y-intercept. And then this coordinate is 1, 2. I went up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. All right, next one. I am going to identify that my slope is -2/3. And I'm going to identify that my b value, my y-intercept, is +1. Once I've got that, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to say my slope, -2/3. That means my rise is -2 and my run is 3. And I've got a b value of 1. So I'm going to start with my intercept of 1. That's the first point that I put on there. And then I'm going to say rise -2. So I'm going to go down 2 and a run of 1, 2, 3. So this one, you will notice, is now going down to the right. And that should look familiar. This one had a positive slope. So the line had a positive slope going up to the right. This one, the slope number is negative. So I went down to the right, which is a negative slope. The next ones, you'll notice that the graphs are slightly different, just gives us a little bit more room. This one, it's all the same concept. I first have to identify the slope. In this case, the coefficient in front of the x is -4. The y-intercept is the -3. And so I'm going to write those down. First, that my slope is -4 or -4 over 1. I need both numbers. And that the intercept is -3. I draw the intercept first, the point for -3. And then I have a slope of 1, 2, 3, 4 down, 1 to the right. You can also do the reverse of that. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4 up, left 1, and that will also work as part of your line. You can go in either direction. So here I'm going to connect those, and I'm going to get a line that had a rise over run of -4 over 1. That's why we went down 4, right 1. Has a negative slope. My slope was negative number, so that all checks out. Last but not least, my slope is -6/7. But what is my b value? Do you notice there's nothing here after the x? That makes my b value 0. +0 -0. And I've got a slope of -6/7, which is already in fraction form. This one is going to be a direct variation. It goes through the origin. That should sound familiar. So going through the origin, and then my slope is going to be down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's good. It's going down into the right the way we know a negative slope should. We could also do the opposite. So I went down 6, right 7. I could also go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would also fall on the line. So if I connect those, that would give me a negative slope, which I should have going down to the right because my slope number was negative.